So, hi everyone, and welcome to Meath County Council Library Service. And today I am talking to young adult author Helena Close. The Gone Book. This is Helena's debut young adult novel, and she is from Limerick. It was published on April 2nd last year by Little Island Books. It's set in Limerick, and it tells the story of a teenage boy, Matt, whose mum left his family when he was 10 years old. Matt writes letters to her in the Gone Book, but he doesn't send them. 5 years of letters about his life, 5 years of hurt. When Matt learns that his mum is actually back in Limerick with her new family, he knows he has to find her to finally deliver the truth. So, Helena, I finished this at the weekend. Loved it, obviously. So I contacted you. This is your first young adult novel. Tell me how it came about.
I think with me, I suppose I'm a very odd author in one way, because I when I sit down to write a book or when I get an idea, I kind of never think of genre. I never think, oh, this is young adult. I think of story.
Yeah.
And I think that's, for me personally, that's the best way to approach writing.
So you didn't set out for a young adult book. You just
no, and it's probably why I never make money out of it, but it suits me. And I really, really like Little Island, the publishing house.
Yes.
I love Siobhan Parkinson, and I just think there's just something very special about their books.
Yeah.
So I ended up sending it to them, and they took it, and I was absolutely delighted.
Yeah. Little Island are lovely, and they're the only Irish publishing house that aims for young readers.
Young readers, exactly.
Yeah.
And they take risks, Ciara, because that book is pretty, as everyone describes it, gritty.
Yes, it is.
Real. And that's my style of writing.
Yes.
Yeah. And they didn't shy away from that at all. And I really, really like that about them, because it's, I suppose in some ways it's a tough story, But I think it's very funny as well, and I really think that's how you write tough subject matter.
Yes, yeah. I'm going to presume you read a lot of thrillers and murder mysteries, crime. Can I presume?
Ciara, I am reading since I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
I would read the back of a cornflakes box.
That's lovely to hear. That's a librarian's dream.
I read widely, and I read every genre. I'm not a bit snobby. I think, and I think especially for young readers, stories are stories. I don't care how you get your fix of story, right? Like my daughter, my youngest daughter, she's in her 20s now, but she's a gamer. And I think the stories in gaming videos are absolutely stunning, like Red Dead Redemption.
Yes, that's actually, you mentioned that in this, actually. Yeah,
it's just a wonderful world, and that's even when I'm teaching, with young adults, I always say that story is everywhere, and it's all around us. And I think that, really, when you're writing tough subject matter, make it realistic in that even when people are sad, they can be having a great laugh and a great crack.
Yeah, which is very obvious in this.
Yeah, and that's the way it is, and that's naturally how we are as humans, It's never black and white. It's the grey, and I think that's what writers do. They try and find that grey in the middle. Yeah. Where there's no right or wrong, it's, or black and white, and no quick answer,
I read somewhere, I think you did an article for The Independent, and it said that kind of your starting point for this was that you heard of a mother that had left her children and then had come back, and then that had kind of created the idea for you. So obviously you like, that's how it happened. Like you heard a story and then you kind of ran with it.
Yeah. I heard this story, and apparently a true story. And she'd left her children in the city. I won't name the city.
Yeah.
She never saw them. She just never saw them again.
Like when I read this, and at the start, obviously I'm not going to give away any plot twists or anything, but I really thought maybe Matt's mom, the story was like, as in, we were going to understand why she did it, and she would be portrayed in a better light as we learned about her. But no, she is not a nice lady.
That's again, you know, I think.
Well, that's my opinion, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, we see the black and white, don't we? You know, she's a grey lady. She's in that grey phase.
Lady, very much so.
Yeah, and there was trouble in the past with the marriage, and that's referred to. And you know, here's the thing: very often, fathers walk out on their families and walk out on their children, and that's almost accepted in society.
Yeah.
You know, and if we reverse that, you know, it's almost like it's much worse almost for a mother to do it. So that was the exploration, I think, as well. And you know,
you did that really well, and I think the fact that she comes back and Matt is not aware, but then he's made aware, but she never contacted them in the middle of it. You know what I mean? And then, you know, you learn how it came about and that, you know what I mean. But I thought that was an excellent plot twist, and I liked that. But obviously, there are so many themes in this book. It's the perfect young adult book for me and for my young adult book club. I know that it encapsulates so many different things, like literally. So probably the thing that stuck out to me the most was the relationship between the brothers, and how Matt is literally in the middle. So he has a younger brother and an older brother, and kind of the relationship that he has with each of them. I really liked Jamie. I think he is an easy character to not like, but then I really liked him. I think he's very troubled and he needs help, but I think under it all, he is a good person. And, you know, coming towards the end, you kind of see him at his full potential and, you know, what he could be. I know he's in a bit of a mess. And then the younger brother, my heart just went out for Connor. Like, I know he's 10 in the book and he was 5 when his mom left. I don't think he has matured to be a 10-year-old. Did you intend that, or am I just looking at it too like,
Kira,
because when I first read him, I thought maybe he was like maybe 6, 7, 8, and then when I realized he's 10, obviously sure I don't know if he has. Don't know if he's is anyway. Sorry, did you intend for him to be younger?
Not really, no. I don't think that was conscious anyway, you know. Maybe because he's the baby of the family. You know, everybody kind of watches out for him. But I love, Kira, the way you're talking about the characters, like they're actually in the next room and that they're real.
I know. I literally feel like, I know. I felt like because I have a brother called Jamie, and I was like, oh my god, you know, like, not that they're not alike, but obviously I just felt like, you know, he was my brother as well, you know. But obviously, and then the relationship with the brothers, and then the relationship with their dad, they all have a very distinct relationship with their dad. Really liked their dad. I think their dad has come kind of a full 360. I know at the end, you know, when Lucy, the mom, was saying different things, I didn't want to believe them. You know, even though that obviously happened. But I feel like their dad, all that he was dumped with and he was left with, I think he handled it very well, and he takes pride in how he parents his sons. And then I always have to remind myself that his dad was an alcoholic, and, you know, he has come a full kind of 360 there. But that's obviously how you intended him to be, like a kind of a coming of age kind of a character that, I don't know, comes right.
Yeah, but he still has his issues, you know. You know, other addictions have replaced alcohol.
Yes.
He's marathon running. He's, you know,
cleanliness.
Exactly, yeah. And the marathon running and the training and everything that goes with that takes precedence over everything else, you know. And Matt, the guy in the middle, Matt is the guy left in the father role, you know, with Jamie, the older boy, off the rails, and Connor being very needy, you know. So he's the one trying to, and every so often, you know, throughout the book, he reacts to that, you know, and realizes. And I think towards, you know, the end of the novel, the father does realize, you know.
Yeah, especially when I thought my heart went out for Matt when he wanted to go to Lahinch, and his father was like, "No, you have to do this and you have to do that." I was like, Matt is 15. Like, he's only 15, but like you could easily portray him to be 25. Do you know what I mean? Because he is so mature.
Exactly,
Then another theme, obviously, you did really well, was the friendship between the three main characters. So Matt, Mickey, and Anna. Did you mean Mickey or Mikey? Maybe it's Mikey. Mikey. Sorry.
Mikey.
Yeah. Matt, Mikey, and Anna. Obviously, I love the relationship between the three of them. Anna's kind of a little bit at the side. The main relationship between Matt and Mikey. I think Matt and Mikey have a lot, well, especially Mikey has kind of he's a very moody type of a character, although he's extremely funny. I think he gets really mad and annoyed with Matt when things are not going a certain way, but then he bounces back straight away. I suppose it's kind of a manic type of a personality. But I liked that about him. Like every time something happened, I'm like, oh, they're not going to be friends anymore. But then all it takes is a smile or a joke, and then they're back. Obviously, that's what you wanted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you know, I tried to mirror kind of what genuine friendship would feel like, you know, between two lads, and the messing and the slagging, and sometimes things get serious, you know. And you know, obviously we won't say what happens, but you know, Matt learns an awful lot about friendship, I think.
Yeah, and he really does.
Hard way. Yeah.
And with I thought this is really interesting. You either know or you read up a lot about the skating world. So did you research? Because I was learning ollies and half pipes, and I felt like I was one of them, you know. But do you know a lot already?
There's a big skating kind of group in Limerick, and when years ago, when my son was about 12 or 13, he used to skate, and I used to think and at the time they were an amazing community. The skaters, they were so inclusive, and you could have skaters age 19 or 20 and looking out for the younger kids, you know, and you know, female skaters as well. And it was just lovely to see. And they finally built a skate park in the city, so that's where it's set.
Yes.
I actually remember before I started writing the book, and I knew that I wanted this whole skating community because I just loved the idea of them and watching them. And I love the sound of skating. If you're ever in a skate park.
Yeah. No, I never have, but I've seen them, you know, when they skate past, say on the street or whatever.
Yeah. But so it really appealed to me. And I remember sitting in the skate park in the city, and that's where it's set. It's right on the riverfront. It's stunning.
Yes.
The sun sets over the river, and the river's the Shannon. So it's almost like the sea.
Yeah.
And you get this incredible cityscape, you know. And I remember sitting there one afternoon. I had my camera because I was going to take photographs. It's lovely to have the photographs afterwards for a sense of atmosphere and place. And there was a few skaters there, and there was a homeless couple.
Yes.
The street joggers. And one of them came over to me and challenged me because I had the camera. And I thought that was amazing.
And then why are you taking photos? Or
you shouldn't be taking photographs of people without their permission. You shouldn't be taking photographs of children.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's really interesting. And
he had his kind of Dutch gold in his hand. I was stunned. I explained to him, I said, I'm not actually taking photos of them. I'm taking photos of the river. And, and he said, he said, that's fair enough. But, he said, how can I believe you? So I put the camera away. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's where I just had to write those two in then. They had to be in the novel after that, you know?
That's where Black and Hal come
Black
from.
and Hal. That's where they came from, yeah.
And I think
and somebody had given him a skating hat, you know, a rip curl, one of those labels or element or something like that. So he had this hat on, you know, and he knew all the kids by name. They knew him. And it was I was intruding into, you know, a very, you know, kind of specific community. It was lovely. It was really lovely. Yeah.
Because Black and Hal are very much part of that skate rink, and they are very much a part of Matt's life. Huge part actually of Matt's life, which I never thought, you know, could be. But one of the scenes where you describe where Matt is going to get Black and Hal, well, Hal's help or Black's help to mind the dog for a little while, and I think the area where they live and the circumstances in which they live, I felt like I was in that kitchen. I really felt I was there, and I could see how somebody with that type of a lifestyle would live happily in this type of a setting, and the different people that would live there too. And I think it captured that really well. You know, not that I've ever been in one of those houses or anything, but I think, you know, it paints a really bleak picture of what these, like, you know, people have to put up with and what they'll settle for, kind of.
It does in one way, Ciara, but I think in another way, the whole point of that scene in the book was there's rules in that house as well. One young fella they wouldn't allow in because they couldn't trust him. There was a jug of flowers on the window. He was making porridge. So there was rules in that house as well. Yes. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get what you mean. Like,
and it's our kind of settled people, if you like, or people, you know, it's our kind of perceptions, you know.
Yeah, true. And we don't really know what goes on behind closed doors. The fact too that you remind me that he was making porridge. You know, like he has his routine. He has his routine,
and there are rules that you obey to stay in that house.
Yes.
Regardless of whether you drink 40 cans a night or whatever, you know, there are still rules. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, that was the kind of point of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was really clever. But another thing I wanted to ask you about was you were obviously shortlisted for the An Post Book Award for this particular book. Tell me what that was like. Did you just get an email one day saying you were shortlisted, or how does it work?
My publisher, I think, sent me an email, and then was it? And then then they make the big announcement, you know, maybe a week or two later or whatever, you know. I know it's lovely, but I really try hard not to buy into awards and, you know, and they're lovely, and it's lovely to be recognised and lovely to be, that your work is acknowledged. But by the same token, you know, I just don't, I try not to focus on that. That wouldn't be a focus for me at all.
Yes. You know, it wouldn't be even an aim, you know, it was nice, but you wouldn't be, you know, if you weren't in it next year, it wouldn't be.
Not at all. No, it wouldn't bother me in the slightest. I think I just want to write really good stories to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
I love, you know, most of my writing has teenagers in it. I really enjoy teenagers. I think they're wonderful. I think they're great. I think young people are great. I think they don't get enough recognition. I think that we love to blame them for stuff.
Yes.
Oh, they're doing this. They're creating that. They're drinking down by the river. They're doing something else. You know, and people never take the time to actually talk to them and have chats with them. And some of the best conversations I've ever had are with teenagers. I love teaching teenagers. I love talking to them about stories and their world, you know. It's a really interesting kind of age, I think, because you're not quite seen as an adult.
Yes.
But you have access to the adult life to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting kind of place to be. And I think as well, I find teenagers very straight.
Yeah.
They're not
it's
playing
very
any games.
black and white. Yeah.
They're just gonna, they're just gonna tell you this is the way it is, or this is what I like, and they're not going to, kowtow to any preconceived ideas of, what
and
they should
especially
be.
too, like with the year, we've all had, but especially teenagers.
I think, they suffer so much.
Hugely. They only went back, like some of them aren't even back to school yet. 5th and 6th years they're back to school. And it's a whole thing, like you possibly mightn't have seen your friends or even an outsider since December. You know what I mean? Which is where if you're so used to being in school every day, then you're constantly you're on Zoom calls all day for your school. Like that's constant. You're not actually interacting with anybody. You're just, I suppose, your black screen on Zoom. Like, do you know what I mean? I think teenagers, especially for this one, it was extremely tough.
Extremely tough, because I'll be quite honest, I hated being a teenager. It wasn't a good time in my life. And I think that's why I keep writing about teenagers. It's almost like I'm reinventing myself in every
living
book.
Vicariously through them.
Exactly,
Yeah.
But I just think that what I do remember about being a teenager, it's all I wanted to do was be with my pals. I just wanted to be with my friends.
Yeah.
I wanted to have the laughs, hang out, be with my friends, go places, go do things, have coffees and go for chips and whatever, And everything has been taken away from teenagers. Literally.
Absolutely everything. And like, no wonder, like, their phones are their lives. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the only outside contact that they have access to. So, when people say, screen time and different things like that, I think, if your sibling or your child or your whatever, I think if they're talking, well, at least they're still talking to their friends. After another little bit of research about you, I discovered. I know it was
all my secrets.
No, you used to write under a pseudonym.
That's right. Yeah,
I'm very intrigued by that. So, Sarah O'Brien was your pseudonym.
That's correct.
Why do people write under pseudonyms?
That was a long time ago now. I was writing my first novel, Pinhead Duffy, and my friend Trisha was writing her first novel. And we were very good friends, and we used to be chatting about writing and things like that. And then we kind of said, would it be great fun to actually try and do something together?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really where it came from. And again, we started off thinking we do a kind of a rom-com, kind of book. And the first book, Hot Property, in the first paragraph, there was a dead body. So we decided, okay, right, we're going with this. Again, write what you love. Don't write what's out there. Don't, write what you love, I think, for me, that's my motto,
Yeah, so you're saying don't write what's trendy.
Right? Oh, no. I'd never, ever, ever write what's trendy, because you just, and readers, particularly young readers, they're very discerning. They'll know straight away. If if it's not authentic, If it's not authentic, they're the best critics.
Yes.
They're the real critics as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah, I think they are. I really think they are. I think especially young people, and they're so much better informed than us. I think they are so much more opinionated, and they are in a good way. And I think they have access to even more information than I did, say, 10 years ago when I was a teenager. I think they have their own opinions and their own certain ways of looking at things. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, and I'm just comparing myself to people who were 10 years younger than me. The difference now, like the availability of information and accurate information, and to learn, and to, like, you easily could Google something and you could, no matter what the topic, and you could be well informed within a couple of minutes about it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think as a writer, from my point of view, I'm writing teenagers and the teenage voice. And that's why I try to use their language.
Yes.
Sometimes people might call it bad language, but I just call it language, you know? You know, and to write a 15-year-old boy from Limerick and not have him speak authentically.
Yeah.
Right? It's teenagers would call me out on that. They'd call me out on it straight away, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
They'd say,
they'd know.
He's talking like little Lord Fauntleroy. I don't know this character. I've never, you know.
Yeah. No, he was. Matt was very authentic, and I felt he easily could be a real person, a real teenager, just because like the way obviously we were inside his head. It was from his point of view. Another question I had for you was, how old is Jamie? Is Jamie maybe 18, 17, 18?
He's 17.
He's 17.
He's still not quite, he's 16, you know, just, you know.
So maybe he'd be doing his leaving cert, maybe going into leaving cert.
Leaving cert, yeah. So, he would be that age, yeah.
And then Matt is only after doing his junior cert.
That's right, yeah.
That's right. Mrs. Chung. Really liked Mrs. Chung.
I love Mrs. Chung. I think
love Mrs. Chung.
She's my favourite character.
Yeah. I think she, again, black and white, no messing. She was a very prominent and consistent and persistent character within the book. And I think she did step into the mother role a little bit for the three lads, as in Matt, Mikey and Connor. I think she is what every parent should be. She was very consistent and reliable, but fun and there, but she was always there. And I really liked that about her. She was never going to disappoint you, and she was never going to leave you.
Exactly,
yeah. And I think the fact that she kind of takes in Matt and Connor, that they're just part of the family, you know what I mean? Whenever they're in her house, they're part of the family. And two, I suppose anyone else, you know, when Anna comes to visit, and that she just, you know, slots in as well. Tell me about Mrs. Chung. Did you just concoct her one day in your head, or had you maybe seen a Mrs. Chung in your life?
I think she's a kind of a mixture of people I would have met in real life. And here's the thing about writing: you don't. Every idea comes from somewhere. Every character, you know, could be made up of 40 people that you've met. You know, everything it has to come from how you know your own world, from you know how you experience the world, who you meet, what stories you hear, what conversations you listen to, or you know you eavesdrop on, or whatever, you know. So there'd be elements of people I know, and you know, kind of in her personality. I kind of love the idea as well. Again, to deal with how we perceive things and how we stereotype. You know, she has 3 children, 3 different dads, the United Colours of Benetton.
Yes.
Right? But she's a wonderful mother.
Yeah.
She's an incredible mother.
Absolutely, you know? like she is like an ace type. Like I never like, even the way she is with her youngest smallies to the oldies. Do you know what I mean? Even how she reacts with Jamie. He really respects her as well, even though he's kind of a difficult type of a character. She is such a good mom.
Yeah. So, and it's just to break down stereotypes. We like, you know, with Hal and Black, we stereotypes of street drinkers and homeless people. See them as people. See them as people.
Yeah.
And start there and try and get rid of our prejudices, you know. And the same with Mrs. Chung. You know, you could see her as a single parent, as you know, but I think she's a fantastic character. I really do, you know.
Yeah, I really enjoyed her. And
I love what you say about her consistency, and I think that's her gift, and that's what she's really good at.
Exactly.
She's being consistent. And what Matt's mother wasn't good at.
Exactly. And I think that's why he respects her so much.
And even, it's probably what children need and what young people need,
Totally. I read that somewhere before that like that's what kids need from parents is consistency and reliability, that they're always going to be there. Good, bad, indifferent, pick up from school, dinners. That's what kids want and need, like subconsciously. But and I think Mrs. Chung was that, despite, she had like loads of different kids in her life, her own kids, but she minded everyone so well. So she was a real mammy type of a figure. And when they're in Lahinch too, she's always there. Like they're technically on holidays, everyone's going about their different businesses. People are going here, people are going playing football, whatever, but she's always at the mobile home. She's always there when they come home, and she's always feeding everybody. And I loved that. Like I could smell the chicken dinner nearly. Do you know what I mean? That was her speciality. I liked her. I think too the story worked really well around her because she was so consistent in how she treated everybody.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just conscious of the time there because I know you have lots of things to be doing. So my last question for you is, what's next? Are you writing currently? Are we allowed to know what's up your sleeve?
Oh, I'm involved in so much at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm working on a collection of short stories.
Oh, very nice.
I'm not going to say adult.
Yes, okay.
They're for anyone that wants to read a good story.
Yes.
And I'm working on another YA novel. I'm actually doing a huge rewrite at the moment.
Yeah. You mean rewrite as in you're redirecting your story? Is that what you mean?
I kind of am, yeah. First draft done, and I'm redirecting the story. Yeah. Nice. That'd be one way of saying it. Yeah. So it's a tough one to write as well. It's an 18-year-old girl, and I suppose thematically it's to do with mental health, because I think that's a huge issue. And I think once this stupid plague is over, I think we're going to have a lot to deal with from that, from a mental health point of view, So it's a tough one to write, but I'll get there.
Would we maybe see that next year?
I think August, September 2022.
Nice one. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
This is 2021, isn't it? I'm all mixed up now with years.
I have to remind myself what day it is, to be honest, at this point.
Yeah, so it'll be September 2022, and I think it's a very important book. I really do, Brilliant. For the times we live in, and
the times that we're going to come out of.
Exactly, and the times we're going to come out of, and as well as that, to write a book honestly about that subject. Yeah. And from teenagers' points of view, I think is very important. You know? I
can't wait to read that. It sounds really good. If it's anything,
thank you. I hope you like it now. Gosh.
No, I will. I think it'll be very topical. Like, from what teenagers and young people have kind of come from. That was no fault of their own. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But yes, I will leave it there, Helena, and thank you so much for talking to me today.
I don't know when your teenagers will see this, but I just want to leave ye. I'm a huge Munster fan. Okay, we're playing Leinster on Saturday, and we're going to beat you. Okay.